just if you were sleeping, the Dodgers went out and signed the biggest free agent on the market, Kyle Tucker. And joining us right now, ESPN baseball writer Alden Gonzalez, baseball reporter. Alden, how you doing, man?
I'm doing great. How you guys doing?
Excellent. So yesterday I was on the air, and in a prophetic way, I said, I don't believe the Dodgers are in on Kyle Tucker. And then the next thing you know, they signed him. Did you think they were in on him?
Oh, yeah, they were in on him. I didn't think they were going to sign him. And I think it's very telling to me of where the Dodgers are right now. They were pretty adamant going into the offseason that they were not going to do long-term deals. And because they weren't going to do long-term deals, it seemed pretty unlikely that they were going to land a 28-year-old outfielder who was clearly the best player available. But they did. And it's the thing about the Dodgers right now. They are the destination spot, and they have more money than everybody else, and they win more than everybody else. And at the end of the day, that's where guys want to go. So even if you're Kyle Tucker and you were projected to get an 11-year deal for $420 million, which is what we projected,
Yep.
You're going to take the short-term deal and sign with the Dodgers because you want to be a Dodger. And I understand why every fan base is incredibly upset by this turn of events, but that's just indicative to me of where the Dodgers have positioned themselves in the sport.
Well, it also feels, too, Alden, like Kyle Tucker can have his cake and eat it, too, because he's got these outs in Season 2 and Season 3. So in theory, he can play extremely well, maybe get a ring or two with the Dodgers, and then if he wants to opt out into a longer-term deal, one last big contract, he'll have that opportunity, and then the Dodgers can decide to do whatever they want, but then both sides ultimately end up winning.
Yeah, I mean, you're absolutely right about that. It's an ideal fit from that perspective as well. And keep in mind, too, the free agent classes are not very good at all. Next offseason and also the offseason after that. Even worse than this year's, where there was not a clear Juan Soto type star. So with Kyle Tucker and also with Bo Bichette, who signed also a short-term deal with opt-outs, there's a very real benefit to going back into the market after a really good year. And that's another thing about Kyle Tucker, that for as talented and as well-rounded as he is when he is healthy, he, number one, hasn't been healthy lately. His platform year just now with the Cubs wasn't great. He had a really bad second half.
Yep.
And he's been a 4 to 5 win player, which is great, but he hasn't reached what people believe to be his ceiling. So to your point, he can ball out for a year or two, then go back into the market, and that's perfect for the Dodgers, who did not want to commit to him long term. But I think it also says something about the Dodgers in that they are a place where not only you can win, but they have proven that they can get the most out of you. They have the resources to take on reclamation projects, make them better, and have them sign elsewhere. There are a ton of examples in recent history of guys who have signed short-term deals with the Dodgers who go get money elsewhere, and I am certain that is what Kyle Tucker's camp was thinking about when he chose them.
So I am guessing that 1 year from right now, we are going to be in a lockout in Major League Baseball.
No question.
And I wonder what's the impact of this signing of Kyle Tucker? I heard somebody say this is the straw that breaks the camel's back. I think the camel's back broke a while ago. But what's the impact of the Tucker signing on what we're going to see coming up after the 26th season?
Yeah, I don't think there's one straw that breaks the camel's back here. I think these are just things that stack up. And whether it's right or wrong, fair or unfair, there's a lot of anger among fans. There's a lot of anger among owners. And every time something like this happens, it makes it even more clear to me that Major League Baseball is going to go to the mat for a salary cap. And because they're going to do that, we are going to experience a prolonged lockout. How long that lasts, what ultimately gets one side to break over the other, nobody has any idea. But the reality of the Dodgers, and this is not a fault of the Dodgers by any stretch, their owner, Mark Walter, is operating the way every owner should, which is by pumping money back onto the roster. But two things that the Dodgers have that other teams don't. One is they have this ironclad, super lucrative local media deal at a time when the RSN model is deteriorating and teams cannot count on that revenue anymore. All right? And number two, they have Shohei Ohtani. And they have done such a great job of leveraging who Shohei Ohtani is, an international superstar, the likes of which Major League Baseball never has. And he has become a cash cow for them. And they were thinking, and so that's why money is no longer an object. They're going to pay, because they are exceeding the luxury tax threshold's highest threshold, and they pay a 110% tax on overages. They're going to pay Kyle Tucker close to $120 million in 2026. That is bigger than a lot of teams' payrolls. I don't know how many, but at least some of them. All right, and you could say something similarly about Edwin Diaz. They don't care. It doesn't matter, and there are no other teams that can operate like that right now, or at the very least are willing to.
Let me ask you this, though, Alden. When you mentioned before that you thought that the league would go to the mattresses to implement a salary cap, do you also expect a salary floor to come with that? Because otherwise, then these owners are telling on themselves that they just don't want to spend what they could, even if the Dodgers still have more money.
Yeah, there will be a floor, at least in the proposals. Again, I don't know that it's going to happen. But if you look at the last CBA negotiations, one of their first proposals was a salary floor. And I think that's the only way they can sell this to fans. It's the only way they even have a chance of selling this to players. Is that actually is their biggest pitch, is, look, we're going to have this salary floor, and because of it, Team X, Team Y, Team Z is going to have to spend a lot more money than they're spending today, and at the end of the day, it's going to lead to more revenue for players. Whether or not that's actually true, that's going to be for the union to decipher. But, yeah, they go hand in hand. But the union's not going to go for that. Last time the salary floor was proposed, they balked at it because to them it smelled of a salary cap, and that is a guiding principle of the MLB Players Association, is a hard no on a salary cap, because that's been basically their entire history.
Okay, last thing for you, and I want you to tell me if this thought is somewhere in Andrew Friedman, Mark Welter's head. The work stoppage is coming. Maybe we do wind up with a salary cap. And I agree with you. I think it's going to be just a holy war to try to get a salary cap in Major League Baseball. But let's say it does happen. They've gotten two guys in sort of under the wire who would be grandfathered into whatever this next system is post-lockout. Is that thought in their heads?
I think at the very least, the thought that is in their heads that is partly motivating what they're doing is that they have no idea what the economic landscape is going to look like after 2027. And especially not also after 2028, because I remind you that Major League Baseball is trying to centralize local media. And that's going to change the economics of baseball as well. I think generally speaking, you might be walking into a completely different economic situation moving forward, with or without a salary cap, definitely with even tighter restrictions. So I think that's part of it. I do think that the major motivation for them is what I said earlier. One is that they want to win a third straight championship and cement this as truly like one of the greatest dynasties in baseball history. And they're making a ton of money, and they might as well spend it. But I do think you're right in that they don't know after this year, all bets are off. Who knows what the sport is going to look like? Spend it now. I think that's definitely part of the calculation.
All right. Hey, Alden, great stuff. Follow you all the time on Twitter or X or whatever, and see you on TV. Thank you very much for making time. We appreciate it, man.
No problem, guys. Anytime.
There is Alden Gonzalez. Yeah, I think that is in their head. It's like, all right, let's get a couple more contracts